without condescending. You see, that's the important thing what a lot of experimental bands forget. You know, they still condescend in a way, because a lot of experimental bands go out and sort of say, look, you're not going to understand this. So, you know, and therefore the audience, you know, you can say audiences are stupid, but they're not, you know. An audience picks that up straight away, which is why audiences prefer, like, rock and roll bands to sort of bands that are experimental. I mean, but if you can, like, what I'm trying to do with The Fall is, like, get the pure parts out of both.
Yeah, we are The Fall, and we are the best. Yeah, we are The Fall, and we are the best. Yeah, we are The Fall, and we are the best.
We are doing the singles of the 80s.
It's a good year for The Fall.
Good year.
It's a really good year for The Fall, because what do you get? A bunch of singles that we're going to talk about today, a live album, and a full-length album. What more can you ask for from your new favorite band?
Always putting out more music to enjoy.
I think we should talk about the background of this one a little bit. So this album is going to come out this single is coming out in January 1980, and this is going to start off like a really full year for The Fall as far as releases. And they record this one in Wales with a couple of their early co-conspirators with what do we got? Jeff Travis, again, from Rough Trade on here. This is still going to be the single for Step Forward Records and their last release for Step Forward Records before moving over to Rough Trade. And it's also produced by Mayo Thompson, who we know is a collaborator with them early on before they move on to our boy Grant Showbiz. And starting off with the track
Fiery Jack.
Fiery Jack.
My face is slack and the kidneys burn. In the small of my back, we'll never learn. But I'm not going back to the slow life, 'cause every step is a drag.
Fiery Jack. I like this one. I mean, this is a good song with the bongo or the tom that pops in every once in a while. You know, it's so forward in the mix, it just gives a little thud. Is fun and playful, but these lyrics are really about some haggard old guys that Mark is coming into talking with, probably at the pub or around Manchester. You know, the slacked faced, the guys that are just drinking for decades and decades, and a little bit only eating hot dogs and pies, living off hot dogs and pies.
What do you want? A grenade, a hot dog, a pie? What are you going for first? What's your first bite?
Yeah, I always get confused at the end with the grenade. It's gonna get violent no matter what with Mark, but the guy is doing tirades and then maybe work in free trade and then eat the grenade and then free the trade. So it's all about the working class, but the working class that's, you know, self-destructive.
Sure.
Or that's what
Right.
I read it as.
I was gonna say maybe a little bit of speed to wake himself up in the morning and
Yeah.
get going.
Yeah. And then he's talking about, the faces, like, just haggard faces of this type of character, and with the burning kidneys and you know, this is a type of character that's not just one person, just a general population that Mark is coming into contact with around the northern England, or the northern England area.
Yeah, the hardworking tradesman, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know
What do
he
you
did.
think?
I know he
Yeah.
did say in like in an interview that he was like, he's the sort of guy I see myself in 20 years. So I mean, it makes.
Yeah, because he's not, I mean, he's not being cynical about it. He's really just saying it's really kind of a true picture. He's really just trying to paint the picture, as accurately as possible.
Had that
It's not
nice.
it's not a pretty picture, but it's a picture.
Yeah, I know it's reality, right? Like,
Mhm.
I know he did. It has that nice twang for you, and which I'm sure you appreciated, and with the guitar.
Yeah, I like that. This one has, and we're going to talk about three singles today from the 80s. And this being the first one, it has a bouncy spring to it that we're actually going to find in a couple of the other single tracks. But we still have, don't we still have Craig and Mark Riley on the guitars. So we're getting the great guitars, and Steve Hanley on the bass and backing vocals on this one. And of course, Mike Lee still on drums. This is the second to last thing I believe he's going to do with the Fall. So he's going to be phased out in the 1980s as Paul Hanley comes into the band. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they're recording this in Wales, and they're kind of getting out of their maybe northern England
So just
comfort zone.
go further north, right?
Yeah, go further north, go a little bit to the west, and different scenery, maybe a little bit more remote, I'm guessing. I'm not familiar with the studio, but it sounds really good, right?
Yeah, no,
the recording.
It's super. Yes, the recording sounds great. It's catchy song. Definitely something you can play a bunch and not get bored.
And so we got to flip it over. That's side A. That's a great single. It's a great choice. We're gonna hear that probably a couple times more as we get into some Peel sessions and some live recordings. Some different versions of it, which it does change nicely in a live setting and also in a studio Peel session setting. It changes a little bit and has a little bit of a different vibe to it, which I'm excited to listen to. But as we're flipping over to the B side, and we get 2 tracks on the B side, which is fun. But as we flip this over, Fiery Jack, let's look at this album artwork, which is again which is done by
Susan Ann Smith or Suzanne Smith.
Mark's sister is brought in to do this artwork for Fiery Jack, and we get this figure on the cover standing upon his shadow, or their shadow, and Mark does the text, I believe.
It almost looks like 2 figures, right? Like the shadow doesn't match up necessarily with what he looks like.
You're right. And the shadow on the ground actually has a devil's tail, which might tell us something.
Oh, there you go.
It has a devil's tail, a flaming devil's tail. What do you like this one, or how do you feel about this one?
I like the black and yellow.
You like the color scheme?
I like the color scheme. Yeah, Fiery Jack. Maybe if the main guy was in red, that would make it a little more interesting. The black and white kind of guy drawing is. I mean, he looks haggard and fiery, so I
like the color scheme as well. I think, and I like the sparseness of it, but I could really go with if it just had the shadow and not the figure at all. This figure is so detailed, and the rest of this is not detailed really at all. It's very simple. That this figure that's drawn is almost it's a little bit too much. And the
Yeah,
figure also has a bottle of booze in it in their
in his
trench coat
Yeah,
pocket. And are they folding their arms?
yeah, they look.
This is Fiery Jack though. This is a haggard guy. I'm just assuming it's a guy, but um, it's a haggard individual.
Yeah, dark set eyes. I mean, he doesn't look like he's having a good time, but
Yeah, and this is
he's fighting the devil within. So you
he is
gotta
fighting the devil within. That's portrayed on as a shadow chasing him. Um, but I think this is a Fiery Jack character. This is actual Fiery Jack. And know what this actually reminds me of, this drawing of this person. This kind of reminds me of like a middle school or high school kid. And I don't mean this in um in a putting a put down way, but this is kind of reminds me of like a character that a high school kid or middle school kid would sketch in their notebook
Yeah,
as kind of
absolutely.
a as kind of like, you know, just like a weird sketch. Um, and I think Suzanne nails it with which
She
is
does, yeah.
she does.
I'm happy
Um,
with it, you know. Let the little sister
Mark
have
was
some
happy with
fun.
it, so I'm happy with it. I do like the text looking like it is kind of on fire with the edges. That's cool. And then on the back has, you know, it just has a bunch of text on it. But an interesting thing is we get um Mark saying that this record was found, the master tape was found alongside the dead body or the remains of Roman Total, the 17th, which is one of his characters that we're going to meet soon enough in Total's Turns, the live album, which Mark is going to bring back in multiple songs. I think we've already heard Total in a couple songs, um, or at least the character being brought up, maybe not by name, but Mark is intrigued by this character, and I do like this. I like that Mark is giving us a little background that this this did not come from this, you know, this era. Fiery Jack, even though it sounds like it was recorded in 1979 or 19 and released in 1980, it was actually found with the remains of an old um soldier, upper class individual, and it heeds a warning that says don't play this, or it says if you do, be careful. Do not, what does it
You
say?
do not. It says,
Never
I
to
urge the
unleash,
finder to never release this master tape on humanity.
never unleash it on humanity. Yeah, and I agree. But
Already the devil deity, Haikoi, is clawing at my brain.
and it ends with um either eat that, you can either, humanity can eat that grenade. No, what does it say? Sorry.
Yeah, it says,
Humanity can either eat that grenade or face the second dark age. And with that, I think we go right into the first track of side B, Second Dark Age.
Fat copper and swimming. Glad return of glass house. And the Arabs have it made. Eyeless women in veils, eyes glazed. Second dark age, second dark age.
So, how do you feel about entering the second dark age?
I'm just happy I'm not single. Then we'd be screwed. I like the backing vocals. They definitely
Yeah.
help the song along.
Yeah, and I believe that's Steve Hanley on the backing vocals, the bass player. I like those backing vocals as well, and they're mixed in there, so it's kind of like muffled, you know, and you just hear him popping it up. And this song on first listen is, it seems like there's not a lot going along, like it's straightforward, but there's a lot actually going on instrumentation wise. The tom drums that are like building up and going
Yeah.
upward,
Are
and
those
there's
the bongo sounding guys?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're just going upward and upward in tone, and as is the guitar, it's going kind of riffing and going upward in tone too. And then also there's a weird sound, and I don't know, I'm kind of assuming it's like the Steve Hanley signature bass kind of rumble thing, but I don't really know. But midway through it's like a I'm gonna replay it just so I can hear. Um
Yeah, I mean it's got
It's
like
a
some,
rumble. It's a rumbling sound. And actually, you know what I think it is? Because I'm seeing that Mark Riley plays the piano. I think it might be some sort of piano low tone or smash,
uh,
but it's so low. Um, and it should be also noted that K Curl, manager for this for this album. Um, you have any good favorite lyrics from this one? Because he does bring up the Roman Total character at the end in the Bastard Offspring, which we hear which we hear on Grotesque coming up and also on the actual Total's Turns live
I,
album.
I think yeah, I mean it definitely it's got like a fantasy feel to it, right? Like some
Yeah.
like Zeppelin, like just making up an epic 2 minute fast story here. I think the favorite line is the commune crap head sit and whine.
Yeah, that one is good. And my favorite one is just after that. So it's the commune and the commune crap head sit and whine while the common near my birthplace is now a police college. The common near my birthplace is now a police college. That shows you that it's entering the dark age again. And you know, what was some sort of childhood kind very welcoming, helpful community,
Yeah, please
it
state.
has become a police state or police training ground. Um, that's just a great line. I like that. And the ghost dance right. The ghost dance right. Oh man, that's good. Um, yeah, this is great. And as usual, I gotta appreciate Mark and the gang just filling up a 7 inch.
Got
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
they're gonna fill up a record no matter what size, what length. And this one is no different. You got a fiery jack on the front side, and then he puts almost 6 minutes on the backside, which is close to maxing it out.
I
So
was gonna say, yeah, I mean, for a 45, he created a character, he drags him into the
right,
future with
right,
him. I mean, it's a a
right,
complete work of art for 3 songs.
right. You're going back in time, you're going to present day, you're meeting Fiery Jack, which could be anytime. Um, and also interesting is Mark, they were recording in Wales, right?
Yeah.
And so Mark really liked this courtyard that was in front of the studio. So and he liked the echo of it. And he had the engineer uh set it up so he would record his vocals in the courtyard outside, which is cool.
That's neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is cool. And if you listen to it, you can kind of get it, but it's not really apparent. I don't know if they caught the echo that he was looking for, but I can't complain about the vocals because sometimes, as we know, the Mark's vocals could be mixed in not appropriately. And I think on this one they fit in well. Should we go on to
Yeah,
another
you finish it off.
I say the A side of the B side. I mean, the A single of the B side, Psychic Dance Hall #2.
Number 2.
Part of the quest, part of the quest. Part of the quest, part of the quest. Two. Rockin', rockin'. It's just a psychic dance hall. Get a boy.
They give Mike Lee a nice mix here where he's right in the front with that pseudo disco beat that he's trying to do.
I was gonna say at the very beginning, it sounds a lot like a disco song, and then it
He's
does not.
he's
but-
trying. No, it doesn't. But actually, I give I'll give Mike Lee the benefit of the doubt that he was doing that on purpose. But it sounds like he's never played that beat in his life, and And they said, no, make it actually like a disco, like in a psychic dance hall, Mike. Come on, get it. And
Wow.
if it's perfect.
It's a lot
Um,
of tambourine.
there's a lot of extra percussion on there, but and he liked those toms too. And he was also, I believe he was a jazz drummer, or maybe in the jazz vein, but he went on to drum for the Cramps. So I don't really know if that's really accurate or if he could just play anything, or was open to playing anything. But yeah, it's a great beat. And also, I want to know whose idea was it for this, um, to be on the B side, but also not the single. I mean the A side. Doesn't this sound like more of a side to you of a accessible song? And then I would put Fiery Jack on the back as a little
I mean, maybe
bonus.
it's a minute shorter than Fiery Jack. Maybe they couldn't fill it in.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it just fits here. Yeah, maybe you're right. They couldn't fit that on there and then put the other one and then put
And
a
then put the
double.
second Dark Age
Yeah,
on.
and then put second Dark Age. I actually, it would be kind of cool to put those together. Like I say, that's like a interlude to the beast to the backside.
Yeah, because this does not have any of the same kind of story, right? Like
No, yeah,
they talk about what Helen Duncan, she was a
he's like reading from. It sounds like he's reading from a newspaper from the witch trials, doesn't it?
yeah. I mean, I guess Helen
Yeah.
Duncan was the last person tried under the Witchcraft Act. It was in 1944 she got tried. So
1944.
yeah, the Witchcraft Act of
Well,
1735. She got charged, got put in jail for 9 months.
oh, I'm glad they kept that on the books for that long. That's good, just in case they needed it.
Yeah, wait.
They gotta
She
find
had,
a
she had the
yeah,
ectoplasm out.
yeah,
Cheesecloth.
easily identified which. And and Mark at the end, they even have like mic feedback, which is great because in studio recordings, you really shouldn't have mic feedback on any track, right? That's usually accounted for, but I just assumed that that's Mark mangling the microphone to get that little, that little bit extra. He's just wringing it out to get that little bit extra juice, audio juice out of it at the end, which is nice too. Nice little sound. Instead of yelping, which I appreciate it.
You got a
Little
few
little
little, you got
chain
a few little
alternate.
high pitched screams in there, but
Yeah, yeah. It's just a little bonus. All right. So that's the first single of 1980. And if you think we're done, we're not, because we got a couple more gifts from the fall for this year. So
they didn't quit. We can't quit. Let's
no,
go.
no. Once you're in, you got to go deeper. So 6 months after this, so this was released in January, the second single comes out, which is these next two singles are some of the staples of the fall catalog, probably as far as the A sides. So in July 1980, we get the next single, which is, let's get right into it, How I Wrote Elastic Man.
I'm eternally grateful to my past influences, but they will not free me. I am not diseased.
How I Wrote Plastic Man?
Elastic Man, Plastic Man. I'm just
Plastic
gonna
Man?
warning to all you listeners: don't spend too much time looking for the fall Elastic Man or the fall Plastic Man, because those songs don't exist. I wasted a good 10 minutes trying to find out what song they were talking about, but you did not write that song.
So supposedly he never says Elastic Man in this whole song. He says like Plastic Man, Blastic Man. And there is a comic called or there's a comic character called Plastic Man who's like a Stretch Armstrong type of guy, but he's called Plastic Man in Police Comics, and maybe we'll post the comic book cover. We can post that so you can see that. But
Looks like he also had a Saturday morning cartoon show at this time.
oh really?
The Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show from 1979 to 1981.
So this was a known character, like in the mainstream. So I think that was maybe the rationale for not saying it or even putting Elastic Man in quotes. Is they
Yeah,
thought that he might get sued, or he didn't want to get sued, so they told him
I know
to change it.
there's a little note here too on the fall.org that says he says Plastic Man just to basically complain that the fans and journalists don't ever get the name right anyways. So
Before it's even out. Yeah, that's good. And then
it's not our fault we can't understand you, Mark.
but what about the content of this? This one has such a bounce. This is another one where I'm talking about that spring, it's like that bouncy spring hopping down the trail, and it has the bounce to it, and the content of it is good too, or the theme of this guy that's writing this thing, and they all want to know, how did I come up with this genius idea? Oh, I don't. But at the end of it, he's too tired, so he's just gonna give up, let his beard grow, which Marco is not a fan of beards. He's not a fan of the hippie long hair. Tell people to get in tell people in his band to get haircuts and shave if they're letting that beard grow out.
Yeah, what is it? What does he say? Yeah, fuck it, let the beard grow. All
I'm too
right.
tired. I'll do it tomorrow. The fridge is sparse, but in the town, they'll stop me in the shops, verify, they'll track me down, touch my shoulder and ignore my dumb mission, and sick red face smile. And then they will ask me how I wrote Elastic Man. It seems like this character is almost bothered by the fame,
Oh, for sure. I feel like you get that way at a certain point, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just trying to buy my gallon of milk for the week. Leave me alone.
He says it gets like worse and worse each day, and he's a potential DJ. That's like a little dig, right, at the music scene in general, that he's the outsider of again. That this type of guy is just like, oh, he wrote this hit comic book character. Everyone wants to know about it, but he can't be bothered to appreciate it or be smug. Oh.
Then we get right into this artwork, which doesn't really line up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so we're gonna be, well, it kind of does for the B side though, because we
Yeah.
got this artwork, and
you're right.
it doesn't say what the artist is, but I kind of think this looks this technique of this hobgoblin over
He's got
like a busted
got-
church window.
I think that's on a different one of their albums. I don't know if that's a former
Huh.
house or
Manchester?
recording studio. Yeah, it's definitely
I kind of assume it's
Manchester.
Manchester.
He's
But
definitely-
does
he's
that
definitely
character-
he's got the same pointy shoulders as Fiery Jack, that's for
That's
sure.
what I'm thinking. I think old Suzanne Smith has helped them out again with another wild character
If not,
straight out of the Notebook.
I was gonna say, if not given to them, definitely stolen by Mark from his sister's geometry notebook. But
Yeah,
it was
maybe-
sitting in second period.
Mark is not known to accurately credit his band, so I wouldn't put it past him to not accurately credit his sister's artwork. But I do like the color of the sleeve, this nice blue.
Blue front tinge. With
It looks
bright
DIY.
Yellow, the bright yellow back is nice.
Yeah. Even though this is the first release on Rough Trade, at this point in the Rough Trade, it's the Rough Trade 048, so 48th release on Rough Trade, which Sounds like they're rolling along pretty good at this point. This album cover looks pretty DIY for any sort of production value. And then on the back, we get a couple little hand drawings, which I kind of assume are Mark's little sketches. And then we get the personnel and but besides that, we don't really there's not much else going on.
Some of
Nice
Mark's
handwritten text.
handwritten that in text, right? However,
Mhm.
Elastic Man looks like it was probably before Mark's eye opener that morning. A little shaky.
It's really shaky handwriting.
Either
Uh,
that or it's in the
yeah.
van. In the van,
Yeah.
drive to the studio.
And do you also notice on the back here that, and you all should go on to our Patreon or, just look this up and follow along with us. And also, if you're not listening along, pause our podcast, give the song a listen, and then jump back in. I think it'll be a more worthwhile, entertaining experience for you if you do it that way. But do you notice that it says A colon, like A side, and then they're both there? It's,
Sure.
He's no B. There's no B side. It's just A, and then you get two songs. You got to flip. You got to flip the record over, but it's both side A as far as Mark is concerned. Writing out these track listing.
First time they haven't filled it up. It's only 220 on the backside.
I know that's a lot of space to leave.
Room.
That's a lot of space to leave, but I don't know. They fill it up with a nice story, a nice scene. So let's jump into side B, or side A to City Hobgoblins.
Top. You think it's the pipes, but it turns on the lights. Our City Hobgoblins. Our City Hobgoblins. Our Waleroy is a home hobgoblin. And the next song ready. Our City Hobgoblins.
So this one might be as straightforward as Mark can get as far as concept being actualized and delivered and focused, right? On one thing.
A lot of restraint not to drag that one out a couple more minutes.
It is a nugget, and I actually would like to see this one placed on the Nugget, like one of those garage rock nuggets compilations. It might be a little bit too far out for those. But Mark, who was a garage rock aficionado, this is pretty close to a garage rock little tune, rocking along, and good riff, good drum beat by Paul. And we can see after listening to the last one, the kazoo, a little addition. But how do you feel about the drumming from? We just heard one single with that Mike Lee, right? And now we got this single that has the transition to Paul Hanley.
Oh,
and Paul, I think he's a little bit more of a simplistic drummer with not trying to put in a lot of fills. And I think this actually leaves more space for the band to get a little more weird with it.
Yeah, the bass has to pick up a little bit more, and
that's what he says, brother. Pick up. He said, brother, pick up that the riffage on the bass, brother Steve. And this is going on my Halloween mix. So creepy.
They infest your home at night.
Yeah,
I like that. All right.
I like that Mark is always adding ages to these characters. If you really focus or listening, he's always, or very frequently, one of his writing techniques is to add an age somewhere in there for either the character he's talking to or the time the character has been alive or decades passing by. And this one, it's 10 times my age, but 1/10 my height. That's just classic Mark. Little couplet.
It sounds terrifying.
It really does. And then they're buzzing all night long, like making sounds. But again, if I'm looking at the cover of this, and I'm seeing what they look like, I'm gonna say, that kind of just looks like a cute old guy.
Think, and then looking back at the cover, I was looking at it a little more depth. I'm not positive, but I think that brick wall with the little black box may or may not be a safe because
Oh,
because
okay.
our old plastic man was known for using his plastic arms to break into safes.
Oh, I like that. I like that reading of it for sure. Yeah, it's a sideways brick wall. It's like a photo, it's like a Polaroid or something, right? But or a photograph
Yeah, I
cut,
just like copied and pasted, like just
copy it
not
and
even
paste
copy
it.
and pasted, just pasted on there with real paper and glue.
They
Like
said, can we add one more thing to this? Yeah. Yeah, a little
cut out a
collage.
little room for the steeple.
Okay. First single on Rough Trade complete. That one, I gotta say, I want to give my maybe we can talk about a ranking of these three because that one I like the cut of that one. Um so that's July 1980, How I Wrote Elastic Man single. And then you don't have to wait too long if you're a Fall fan to get your hands on another 7-inch by the group. In September 1980, we get another Stone Cold classic,
Totally wired.
Totally Wild.
I'm totally wired. I'm totally wired. I'm totally wired. Totally wired. Can't you see? A butterfly stomach grounds. I drank a jar of coffee. And then I took some of these.
You don't have to be weird to be wired, Gavin.
I like that. It could be natural. It could be a natural state. Do you hate this? Do you hate this one?
I don't know. It's a nice song. It's got a nice upbeat, positive, you know. It could be a little bit faster if I'm totally wired, but
The Hanley brothers are really knocking it out of the park with this one. I mean, the bass line is the signature of the song. It's almost a bass solo. It might be, for my money, the best bass on any Fall song. He brings in the riff just when you need it. It's not all the time. He's not repeating it. It just pops out when you need it, and then he's just cruising along. It's got a nice tone. And it fits really well with Paul's kind of cymbal wash. I like this one. Well, I can see why this is a classic too. Some of my favorite lyrics. Life leaves you surprised, slaps you in the eyes. If I were a communist, a rich man would bail me. The opposite applies. What does that mean to you? That means anything is possible. It doesn't matter if you're a communist. It doesn't matter if you're a rich man or poor man.
always life is a
You'll get
surprise.
bailed either way.
You got it. Just drink a jar of coffee and take some of these.
Get wired. Get wired.
Good sounds. Got some very simplistic artwork here. Definitely driven on the way to drop it off to be printed.
Definitely. Got the totally wired face, the facial expression where the album sleeve is actually wired and gritting its teeth in pure ecstasy. Pure pain. It has those marks
Yeah, I was
under
gonna
its
say,
eyes.
looks yeah, it does not look to be
You don't even get the track listing. You don't get anything.
No, you
You
got
don't get the
nothing.
personnel, the track listing. It doesn't even say Rough Trade Records. I'm surprised they let them just do it straight up.
it said yeah, it said some of them didn't even have the hole cut out of them.
The hole wasn't cut out of them. Oh,
That's
so
why,
so you
yeah.
didn't know what it was. You just saw this face drawn on it.
This creepy face.
That's
not even
pretty cool.
creepy, just this eye.
That's
Yeah.
actually I like it more like that without the hole. You don't even know what band it is. It makes you pull the record out That's
I don't-
actually smart.
I kind of want to paint this face on my garage door because that's what it feels like to me.
You're gonna get compliments from a very, very niche audience. It does look like that, doesn't it? Yeah. This is not what the song sounds like, but I get it. I get it. It's there. It's all there for the interpretation, for the viewing. Here, I gotta say though, I'm excited to talk about this next one because the B side is actually, I don't want to ruin it, but this one I would actually consider when it really kicks in to possibly be a contender for the A side on this one as well. So should we go into the woods and drop a block?
Put a Puta block because I was definitely hoping it was Puta, but it's not.
It might be when it got internationally distributed. So let's get put a block.
Put a block.
We don't bend, we just take. We don't bend, we just take. I put a block on the words. I put a block on the words. I got a check from the words.
Yeah, how do you like that as the B side?
How many songs did they play?
That's like a collage of live takes, a bunch of tracks, and then you
then
get the put a
they-
block in the woods, which I really like. I like that meandering guitar, but as a piece, you can't be upset about having a bunch of little snippets of it starts with like them playing in front of a crowd that sounds like it's almost not even watching the band.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean, it's like the end of all of their songs. That was,
Yeah.
we just play some music for a little while.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it gonna end soon? Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
No, but it's just starting, folks.
Yeah, no, that guy's just rambling on up there. But once this song kicks in, I really like it. I really like that guitar line is meandering around, and then he's got some good lyrics in here, right? Nine unknown men knew this, three sorts. The first, along Louis's life. The second, the complete restructure of your pretentious life. Three, the only reason you know this is that it was all well documented. I mean, that is key lyric writing, and his delivery in this. He's even kind of yelling it out at the end, delivering it a little bit more aggressive. And then we get the little cuts from Total's turn, sounds like
Yeah.
live takes of Cary Grant's wedding, him yelling at the crowd.
Sure, right. And we played this for a charity of spastics and raised
Yeah.
five
Yeah.
shillings and 7.5 pence.
I mean, he's really, I don't know. This is really kind of like the PC. They put it on the backside, I think, to get the listener to say, oh, actually, I do know that live album is out by them. Maybe I should go check that out because it sounds like they're playing with the crowd. And if it's kind of like this might be more my speed. Them in a live context where this guy is really yelling at me.
I was gonna say I'm always sucker for a live album, so
But what is the Bill Haley's? He says, have you ever heard a Bill Haley album?
Bill Haley LP.
Just yell. That's something that you don't hear from a guy on stage that often. That's you're paid money to see, is a guy saying, have you ever heard this album? And then say, what is this shit? That's good. That's what I want. I want to get my music recommendations. Actually, it sounded actually like an anti-recommendation. But it's a nice art piece. The whole side B, the whole thing.
We had fun with it.
A little 5-minute track. So as we hear Mark's Boddington's open up, I think for this one, maybe we should just say, which one are you taking with you, or which one? How would you rank these three singles of the 1980s? If you were in the 1980s and you could only pick up one of these from your local store, which one are you gonna grab?
Which one's on my Christmas list? 1980.
Yeah. Which one are you gonna buy for John Keys?
Hmm. I think I'm going with How I Wrote Elastic Man.
Yeah, why are you going with that one?
I mean, I like the. I mean, both songs are just good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. Both songs are great.
Yeah.
City Hobgoblins is nice. I do like the three songs and the whole story of Fiery Jack. It's
Yeah.
starting to get a little weird with it.
Sure. That's the last one on Step Forward Records. Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. I think since you're getting Elastic Man, I probably would have picked Elastic Man too, but since you're getting that one, I'm gonna get Totally Wired and Put a Block so that we can, we can just trade. We can just share.
Trade them off.
We
I'll
can
come
swap
over.
them out and just give them a couple listens every once in a while, swap and trade back.
Yeah, check them out from my disc library, and we'll both be happy.
We'll both be. I'll rip it. I'll rip it into my gateway computer, and then we'll be set. So until then, we are the fall.
We are the best. Yeah, see you later, mates.
Later, mates. Yeah, later.